Welcome to the Hadera-Iron Partnership Together podcast. Our partnership connects communities from the Hadera-Iron region in Israel with 9 Jewish communities across the southeastern United States and the Czech Republic, planting seeds of connection that grow into lasting, meaningful relationships. This episode is produced within the L2G Local to Global program, with guests sharing personal stories and experiences, celebrating our differences while exploring the unifying foundations that build family-like bonds.
Hi, my name is Randi Weiss, and I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and welcome to the Partnership Together podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating challenging situations as a family and as a community, both in Israel and in the diaspora. And we are so fortunate to have 2 wonderful guests who will share their personal and unique stories of how they did this. Andrea in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Shirel in Israel. I first want to introduce Shirel Bakbani-Elkayam from Hatzor Hagalilit, Israel. Shirel, can you just introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself and what you experienced on October 7th in Israel?
Hello, everyone. My name is Shirel. I'm a mother of 5. I have 5 little children. My eldest is 16 and my youngest is 2 years old. We live in Hatzor Hagalilit in the Upper Galilee of Israel. So I've just finished my PhD in psychology. I studied depression and motivation. I went over people with clinical depression and I studied in some parts of the mechanisms that builds their motivation. But during my daily work is as a lecturer at Tel Chai Academic College. I teach at the Department of Psychology, Department of Education, and the Department for Human Resources. I really believe in multidisciplinary approach when we study communities and we study social psychology, and we try to apply some of the methods that we use in basic research to study the mechanisms or the factors that can affect communities for better, to make them communicate better, to facilitate dialogue or an effective dialogue between communities who are in conflict. So I hope that along this conversation, I will be able to share with you some of these experiences.
We also welcome Andrea Wedner from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States. And Andrea, can you also tell us a little bit about yourself and your situation at Tree of Life?
Yes, my name's Andrea Wedner. I'm married, and I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And I was a dental hygienist before October 27, 2018. That day, I was with my mother at the Tree of Life synagogue. I grew up in Squirrel Hill all my life. I've lived in Squirrel Hill and I still do. And I would take my mother to synagogue every Saturday morning. And on 10/27/2018, I was at Tree of Life synagogue with my mother when we were attacked.
Do you want to tell us just a little bit about the attack, just for people who are not familiar with it?
Services had just started and we heard a loud sound out in the hall. Some people thought a coat rack fell. And then we heard gunshots. There were 3 different synagogues. There were 3 different congregations in the Tree of Life building. There were about 12 people in the chapel where we were. And when we heard the gunshots, my mother and I got down on the floor and I grabbed my purse, and because I had my phone in there, I wanted to call 911. And we were on the floor for a while. I talked to 911. It was quiet. So my mother and I stood up. And at that moment, I turned around to the back. We were about 4 rows from the back. And the gunman was right there in front of me. And we both got shot. We're back down on the floor. My mother was shot in the head, and I knew she wasn't going to survive. And I was shot in the arm. And we just waited. I waited till the rescue came.
Andrea, your family looks different from Shirel's family, different dynamics, different stages of life. How would you say your family reacted to this situation?
Well, from what I heard while it was going on, of course, my family was frantic. They were going all over the city, all over. They were trying to find out what happened to my mother. After they had heard I was okay in the hospital, but my husband and my son, who lives here with his wife and their children, were all together, and they were watching the news. And then my husband got a call that they had me at the hospital, and that I did not have life-threatening injuries. And he asked about my mother, and they couldn't tell him anything. They didn't know. And then they all came to the hospital. When they were able to see me, I told them that I knew my mother didn't survive. The one thing that I was so worried about when I was lying there on the floor was, did they all think that I was killed? And that was hard for me, because if I was on the other end and it was a family member of mine, I know how I would feel. But my family was such a wonderful support. We've always been close, and this seemed to have brought us even closer. My mother was the matriarch of our family, and she just loved being with her family, and she loved doing things with her family, and we just have all been like that, and we continue it throughout to this day.
What about the community, like the Jewish community in Squirrel Hill or the global Jewish community? Did you feel any support or any response from them?
I was in the hospital for 10 days, so I didn't know too much that was going on. But afterwards, I heard there was a vigil that night that the high school had done at the main hub of Forbes and Murray. There were hundreds and hundreds of people, and it was raining, and because I've seen video of it. And then the next night they had another vigil at the Soldiers and Sailors building. And these are things that I heard about afterwards. And then people came to visit me at the hospital. It was felt all over the world. And I know everybody was grieving, as we were on October 7th. It was just the same type of thing. We felt it from all over the world, and it wasn't just the Jewish community. It was every community. I got gifts and cards and just amazing things that people took the time to send to deal with their grief and to let us know that they were thinking of us.
Andrea, do you remember where you were when you heard about October 7th and what was happening in Israel?
I do. I was walking with a friend that morning, and she fell, and we went to someone's house who she knew lived nearby, and we were in the car, and that's when I heard.
Do you feel like your experience at Tree of Life made you feel closer or more connected to the people in Israel and what was happening in Israel?
It certainly did. I was right there with them, because I was experiencing it the same as they were. And they had a vigil at the Jewish Community Center here a few days later. And I went to it, and I got very emotional, because it was like reliving again what I went through, because being in the hospital for 10 days, I wasn't able to participate in any of the community things that were going on. And so I was able to go to this, and it hit me hard.
From your experience, do you do anything to give back to the community to try to help you with the grief and the loss?
I do. The 1027 Healing Partnership is an organization that came out of this event. And through that, we have a speakers bureau, which is called REACH, Remember, Educate, and Combat Hate. And we go to the schools and we talk to students. They show a film. There were documentaries made about the shooting and one of the films they show. And we go and we talk to the students, and we have question and answer. And we've gotten to know a lot of schools, a lot of students, and we've been doing a lot of work through that.
Amazing.
It's very gratifying. And we feel like we are really getting through to some of these students. They have developed eradicate hate clubs and acceptance clubs and multicultural clubs and things like that. And it warms my heart to see that maybe we can make this world a better place.
That's so nice to hear, considering what we normally hear. Shirel, I want to go back to you. What was your family's response? Found out. You can tell us about how you found out what was going on in Israel on the 7th. And what did your family do together?
So it was on Shabbat morning. I was going to my parents' house, and we keep the Shabbat, so we don't hear any news or television or radio. And my cousin was just on the street, and he was telling me, have you heard what's happening? No, we don't know anything. And then he said, there's a tremendous war out there, and they kidnap people, and everything is on chaos. And we were like, it's probably some missiles again. We'll probably get over it, and things will be back to normal again, back to normal. During this day, my brother, who is on the army, he came to my parents' house. He drove during Saturday, and then we said, okay, something is different this time. And he came to say goodbye because he wasn't sure that he's going to come back. So he drove there to the Nova Festival area, and he managed to rescue over 200 bodies over there, and to combat, a unit of terrorists who were trying to kidnap those bodies. At the end of this Shabbat, we opened our cell phones, and then we saw all the things. And we saw it after many of our family and community also were exposed to it. And they were telling us, please do not open any video clip, any movie that you see. Do not open the media. It was very harsh. And as I said at the beginning, we had no words.
How did you deal with your children? You have small children.
So at first, when you see this cruelty, you can't tell what to do. What should I do right now? What's going to happen in the northern limit of Israel? We live in the Upper Galilee. So Lebanon is right across the border. The border is really close to us. And we knew that something is going to happen. And really after a few days afterwards, the missiles started also here. And we had 30 seconds to go to the safe room. My daughter, who is 2 years old, she learned how to say mamad. It's the Hebrew word for safe room. Mamad, mommy, mamad, we have to run. When she hears the siren, and we go to the safe room. I think that the most difficult thing was to navigate between these challenges, how to transform or to translate it to words that my kids will be able to understand, because I wasn't able to understand it. I remember myself at the end of the first month, it was really intensive, and my husband was called to reserve duty, and I was staying here. All of us were collecting food, and we were sure that something very difficult is going to happen. And I remember myself after the first month of this intensive month, writing to myself at my cell phone that I have a new vocabulary since October 7th. And if it's okay with you, I'll read some of these words. So
Please do.
I do write and speak in English, and I'm really used to, to expand my vocabulary. But this time these were words that I wasn't familiar with, because those were brutally murdered, atrocities, beheaded, massacre, missiles, sirens, decapitated, evacuees, safe room, tunnel warfare, casualties, interception. And I wish I hadn't known these words, really. I wish I hadn't met them from, in personal, along with this tremendous pain and these tremendous challenges. I felt that during the time we learned to stick together, to stand strong together. We had to find faith. We had to find hope because there was no hope. At first, you felt like everything is going apart. When you hear the stories and when your family is out there trying to save people, trying to protect, physically to protect our nation, our people, you have to actively look for faith, actively look for goodness. Along the days, we found this goodness, we found this light in people. And then when you read, when you sing the Hatikva, so we say, okay, when you're safe and everything. So Hatikva is one of nice song, nice words. And then when you hold it, right, you feel that you have to hold it really hard. And then these words has different meaning, much deeper meaning.
Did you feel closer to your community because of this whole event?
Definitely. As I said before, when you see this darkness, I really believe that alongside with the darkness, there is so much light that has revealed during these challenging times. And we found the beauty and the kindness of people. And you could see old women who came and made some sandwiches to the troopers or to the soldiers that were coming to the north border. And we were meeting them on the roads, right, with their tanks or with their vehicles, and we're just waving them and take this and have this. And we were collecting supplies, food, and sweet things and cakes, but also blankets. And you could see that my children, both are adolescents, so they are 14 and 16, and they were trying to reach out and find what can they do during these times. And they joined a group of young, sweet children, and they were just calling to people houses in our town to verify that they have a safe room, and if not, to notify it and to say that there are people with disabilities, for example, who live in buildings with stairs and no elevator. We have to evacuate them into more convenient place so they could reach the safe room at time. So they found, each one of us just tried to find the special thing or the only thing or a few things that we could do to make things better. As I said, I'm a coacher in the Partnership Together in Tzahar-Palm Beach region. In December, 2 months after this horrible day, they came for a mission, some kind of delegation who came here, some kind of a solidarity mission. And I think it was one of the most touching things that I've ever experienced in our relationships with our friends or with our brothers, with our family abroad. We felt that during this dangerous time, they just leave it all behind and they come here to give us a hug, to say, we're with you, we stand with you.
So for both of you, do you find it easy or hard to talk about these feelings to this community that you feel like I mean, we are your community, but you don't really know? Is it easy to talk about this? Is it difficult? Is it helpful?
For me, it's been helpful. I don't find it difficult. I mean, there's emotional times when I'm speaking especially about my mother, that I get emotional. But for the most part, I think people want to hear the story and it should be told. That's the only way, like the Holocaust, we need to tell the story. And I'm willing to tell it wherever it needs to be told and as much as I can tell. So, and it has been very healing for me to talk about it. And it gets easier as you do it more.
I agree with Andrea that talking has a therapeutic manner. And also I think that Here in Israel, I think that talking about it is so important because when we all were under the attack of missiles or under attack of terror, you could think that we're all on the same boat. But it's not true. We're not on the same boat. Each one of us has different boats. We're all in the same sea. But each one of us has his own boat. There's one with a rubber boat. There's the one with a yacht, and there's the one with, holding a tree or a wood just to stay and keep his head above the water. Yeah. So it's very important to talk about the things, to know what the actual meaning of being at war for each one of the people, or for each of the communities here, because we all experience it in a different way. I think that when we talk about it and we see the people in front of us and we see them nod, or even smile at us or giving us a hug, you say to yourself, okay, I'm not imagining it. It's validated. It's happening. Because when things are so surreal, you can think that you maybe imagine it. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it wasn't that harsh. And when you say it and another one joins you and say, yeah, I experienced the same. And then you feel, okay, I'm normal. In this abnormal situation, I'm kind of normal. And I think this is the power of community, and this is the power of communication, right? The community and the ability to communicate between communities. I think this is one of the most important things we had.
Are there any Jewish values or practices that you have relied on or that have helped you each deal with these difficult situations?
For me, it's more community and friends and family, and just being with the people that I know and love and care about. And that's what's important to me, especially my family, spending time with my family. We definitely do our Jewish things as far as the holidays and things like that, and we're always together. But it's just being together, being with good people who we know and love.
Andrea, do you still go every week to Tree of Life, every Shabbat?
I do not. My reason for going was my mother would go with my aunt, her sister, and then she could no longer go. So that Saturday, she was by herself. I said, well, I'll take you. And I thought I would just be taking her that one Saturday. And we went for 6 years. I took her every Saturday. I saw how much she enjoyed it. She loved the social aspect of it. And it was our time. And she just, I enjoyed being there with her. And I've been back, not to our building, but where the Tree of Life is now, for now. And I've been back a few times, but I don't go regularly anymore. But I hope to, when the new building is built, I hope to spend some more time there and be back there. So
I was just wondering if it's scary to go back or really, really hard to go back, or do you feel that sense of community when you're there that helps?
Yes, I do feel the sense of community. It's not hard because I'm not going back in that building. I said I would never go back in that building, especially in the chapel. But when the new building is built, that'll be a fresh start and a new beginning. So I am looking forward to that. But there's also one thing I wanted to mention about the community. A friend of mine set up a meal train, which is a website. You go online and you can sign up for meals. And we had meals 3 or 4 times a week. People would sign up and bring us food, dinners mostly. And the best part of all of that was the visits. We would tell them to come early and come in and sit down. I was surrounded by people. That is what got me through. I could not have done it if it had been COVID. If I was all alone, I could never have come out of it like I did. I mean, the community was my therapy, and I will never forget that. And they still are till this day. It's just been an amazing, amazing community, and they're there's just been so much kindness and love that I continue to feel it every day.
If it's okay, I would like to relate to Andrea's things. There is a Jewish belief that when you come and visit a person who is in grief or in pain, you take a small part from his pain. And it takes about 60 people just to come visit him. And each one of them takes a small part of his pain along with them. And, it makes some kind of a relief. And I think it's amazing that the community came to visit you, came to comfort you, to be with you. And it's one of the greatest things when we share, a sphere together. About another thing that you mentioned was the relationship between you and your mother. During the last Passover, I was talking with my kids because you have the mitzvah of Vehigadeta lebincha. You should pass the story on to your children. And we were saying them that you're going to be a new generation, right? The first generation who is going to tell their children a new chapter of these of the Israeli history. And you'll have to remember things, and you have to to save this memory, to pass it on, because it's important for this hatred not to happen again, for us to be able to protect ourselves. And I think that the memory has such an important part in our shared history, in our shared communities, and in our shared, for our next generation. And you asked before, Randy, you asked if we had some kind of a Jewish values that, that guided us along this journey, which is still on. Our journey is not over yet. Here we're still at war, and things are, escalating from time to time. But if it's okay, I want to read 2 sentences from Rabbi Jonathan Zaks about Passover. Passover is a holiday of faith in humanity. Passover means taking a broken and wounded slave and whispering in their ear that they are not just a number. They have dreams, emotions, and strengths. And most importantly, they have a purpose. And in a community, when you forget your purpose, when your light is dimming, then you have another person in your community who just reach out and says, hey, I need you. I need you focused. I need you with your strengths. Please help me, or I want to help you. And this collaboration makes your light rise again and shine again. And I think this is the one Jewish idea that I'm following throughout these days.
What you said reminded me, my husband has a huge box full of what happened that day, what's happened since. He's got videos. He wrote a whole thing about that day, his day, that day. And he wants it for our children to be able to have it, to tell their future children. And it's pretty amazing.
Because community is not just a collection of people. Community is also shared history and shared stories and ethos. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing it.
They're gonna know everything.
So what do you think keeps us all so tied together, the Jewish community in Israel and in the diaspora, and just the larger community as a whole, keeps us together, even though we're thousands of miles apart?
I think that we all have the same values. We love our country. We love their country. We support each other. We have signs. There's signs all over our neighborhoods that we stand with Israel. I think it's just that sense of community, that we care about each other, and knowing what we went through, we know what they went through, and we can empathize with them and hopefully help them.
I totally agree with Andrea. I think that the solidarity and the feeling that you have someone, you have a family, wherever you go, you have someone to hold, someone to be with, someone who will support you. I think that this is kind of something that I'm really confident in. I really know that wherever I go, if there is a Jewish community there, I'm going to visit there or ask for help. And I know that they will treat me as a family member.
I think that's a good word you use, family. I feel like we're all really connected that closely, that we really are one family and we shared each other's grief and we're there for each other. So do you think there's anything else we could do as a community to help each other during such difficult and uncertain times?
Just to keep in touch and support each other the way we've been doing so far. I think, everywhere you go at the JCC, we're reminded every day of what's happening in Israel, and it stays with us, and we feel for them, and we want to help and support them.
Another axis of my research deals with in-group and out-group. In social psychology, you define your identity and you have your in-groups, the person or the community that you are part of, and the out-group. And I think that when we live in different places, we might sometimes experience the feeling of out-group when we relate to another Jewish community in the diaspora, for example. And I think that our mission is one of the consequences when you define someone as an out group is that you see it as homogeneous group and you see their story as flat. But when you go in and you go deeper and you define them as your in group, you see the complexity, you see the heterogeneity. And I think this is one of our missions.
Shortly after October 7th, the JCC brought in some people from Israel that experienced it, families and victims families and survivors that from the 1027. We all met in a room at the JCC and they told their stories, and it was really powerful. It was really special, and I think things like that really great if they can be done.
I think that pain brings us together, stick together, but also hope and faith keeps us together. Because I think about my children, about my grandchildren, I hope they won't experience the same pain. And I want the hope to hold them together, the memory of the pain and the expectation or their vision for better days to come.
That's a good note to end on, all that hope that we all do really have. Do either of you have something you really wanted to make sure you said that I didn't ask or didn't touch on yet? Both wonderful and informative, and I want to thank you both so much for sharing such difficult stories so openly and making all of us aware of the importance of community and that we all really, really, really need each other. You were wonderful. We also want to thank our local Jewish federations. The Partnership Together, or P2G, is an initiative of the Jewish Agency of Israel, and it's made possible by generous contributions to our local federations. So if anyone has any questions about the partnership or wants to get more involved, please call your federation. Thank you all.